What is up, everybody? Today, as the title suggested, I wanted to talk about what makes, in 2025, what makes a good man, and what is masculinity, all that kind of stuff, because the world has changed since the start of time. That's a pretty anyway, the world has changed a lot, and with it, people change. And I wonder what people think out there is what a man should be, because I think as time goes on, we're seeing less and less fathers in people's lives. There's some study, it's 40% or something of kids under 14 now don't have both parents in their life, which I think is a crazy stat. That's almost half of them. So half of kids don't have a father or a mother, but it's mostly fathers, and that leads to a lot of the questions. I think that's why the figures all these on the internet, the figures like Andrew Tate and stuff like that, all these hyper masculine icons are so popular still, but especially we're so popular, and that has been such a boom, is that young men and young adults in general, but I think especially young men, that's what I'm kind of focusing on, are really seeking for something like that and trying to find purpose, because I think in a lot of ways it's just hard, biologically. I think in a lot of ways our current world is not working in line with the biology of young men nowadays in the ways that it should. I think it's targeting biology in ways that are beneficial to the monetary gain of some people, but as far as helping young men thrive and do good things, I think not so much. But yeah, so with that, I think it becomes very important to ask ourselves what makes a good man, basically, and what are those qualities, what are those values. And I still think that I hold a fairly traditional view. I mean, I'd say I'm a pretty open person, but for the most part, I'd say I hold a traditional view personally, and I have yet to see that be changed, or there a reason for that to be changed. I think there's no need to work against human biology for some cause, if it's not directly hurting people. Obviously, in the 1950s, having women not be able to vote, and even freaking recently, women couldn't get a credit card until the 90s. That's just insane. That was 30 years ago. That's crazy. My mother was 20. That's wild. But so obviously that's not good. But I think we've reached a point where it's all the pendulum's almost swinging a little bit too far. And like I said, it's just getting really hard for young men to kind of find their footing in today's world. There's some crazy suicide stats out there. I think there's one in the UK. I'm probably going to butcher this, and I don't want to, because it's a suicide stat, which is a very, very serious thing and not something to get wrong. But it was something every minute a man commits suicide in the UK. I'm not sure if that's right. It was something close to that. It could have even been worse. But again, don't quote me on that, because that's a very, very serious statistic, and I don't want to be getting that wrong. But anyway, I've heard a lot of stuff like that, and that goes for the people in the US too. There's other stats about I think it's 30 to 40% of men, young men, I think it's under 25, studies have shown that they have had suicidal thoughts at some point. So clearly there's an issue, right? Clearly there's an issue. So just how should men be in today's world? Because I also think there's a lot of conflicting things that young men are being told. On the one side, you've got people saying you should be traditional, you should provide for your family, all that kind of stuff. But then there's other demographics that say if you're striving towards that, that means you're like trying to go back to how it was, and that's bad, and you should just like fully like forget about your gender and try to express yourself however you want, and like you don't necessarily need to provide for a family. And like those both have fair things to back themselves up with, but which makes it even worse. It's like, so then what do you do? So it's really just a question more than anything, but something needs to change, I would say. And I think, like I was saying earlier, how men are, it's hard for young adults, like they're not being nurtured in a way that is helpful to their biology. I'll say we, because I think, like me personally, this has been prevalent in my life. Like, I think with things like video games and like pornography, those are things that they do very much hyper align with men's biology, but like I said previously, not in a positive way, but like they're right in there, like they are fully designed to just completely go right on with exactly like what men crave, especially young men. And it's very dangerous. Like, it's at a time when we haven't had a lot of time to really analyze the effects of this like intense amount of pornography and stuff like that, and like what effect that has on men. I mean, we've lots of studies. Obviously it's bad, right? Obviously it's bad, but like it hasn't been like this volume of it, and like videos and stuff has not been around for that long. Like, we're talking 30 years, right? 20 years. I mean, before like magazines and stuff, but I really don't think that's quite as harmful. I know it's not as harmful, but so anyway, like that's another thing. And so with all that in mind, it's just hard, especially if you don't have a father figure or a father, which of course I am like very privileged to have had and to have, but especially if you don't have that, it's just really hard to find your footing. I know some people personally in my life, like good dear friends of mine, who maybe they haven't themselves, like they didn't have that good like role model for themselves, and it can be extremely hard because I don't know, it's like you don't really know who you're supposed to listen to. You don't know how you're supposed to act because you've got these feelings. Like, as a young man, you're full of energy, like testosterone, when you're like from puberty to like 35, the highest it's ever going to be, all this stuff, and you're then met with all these other things over here that are going against your biology. Some are going with your biology, and just your brain too. So it's a lot, and I think it's important to, I don't know, find that footing for young men, because I think it's only going to get more and more intense, like with new generations and stuff like that. It's a big problem because, like, if you don't have enough men, like, there goes civilization, right? And we're already seeing this with lowering of fertility rates worldwide. In some countries, it's already too late, which is devastating. South Korea, for example, just tragic. I mean, go watch a video, go read an article about that. It's just sad, really. It's honestly just extremely sad. So things need to change, and I think it's just, there needs to be more of like a coming together. Everyone's so polarized, and just like, it's just such a black and white. So many people have such an incredibly like black and white viewpoint on everything, which is just incredibly detrimental to like just moving forward in general with like life. Like, you just can't, when every single thing has to be a debate and everything gets political and all that kind of stuff, it's hard to move forward. You really can't. You get stuck. So I think unless that like starts to change, it's just not good. So yeah, let me get out of the steering wheel here. That's all I had to talk about today, guys. I think it's a really interesting topic. Please comment below. I really, like, half the point of making this YouTube video is to get insights from people. I feel like personally I have a pretty solid base. Like, I have a great father, and I've like taught me good values and stuff like that, so I don't feel like I've really struggled with this too much. But I know so many people that have. So that's basically it. Thank you guys for watching. Please do subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you tomorrow for the next video. Thank you very much. And please, like I said, comment down below. I really want to see like what you guys have to say. So thank you very much. Bye.